So I'm down here in Mullingar Station with Senior Assistant Chief Fire Officer Pat Hunt. How are you, Pat?
Not too bad, Amy. Thanks very much for coming down today.
That's okay. So it's Fire Safety Week, and that runs from the 4th of October to the 11th of October this year.
That's right. It started off early this week with an official launch on both sides of the border by the various ministers, just to highlight this year's message. And the message is straightforward enough. It's a case of you too can save a life. If you hear a smoke alarm, have a fire safety plan, practice the fire safety plan, so that if you are caught in a fire situation, you know what to do, how to get out, and then call the fire brigade out.
So every family should have a fire evacuation drill, just like you would in a workplace or a school. Exactly
that. It's a case of you can make it as much fun for your family as you possibly can.
So we know that coming into the winter, especially, that fires, the number of fires and deaths, you know, around fires, it rises with the cold weather. So have you got any tips for people, you know, before you go to bed at night? What should you be looking at, doing and thinking about to kind of, you know, put that safety issue at bay?
The simplest thing you can do is to unplug all unnecessary appliances. Secondly then, once you've that done, if you're a smoker, make sure that all the ashtrays are extinguished. Put the fire guard in front of the fire if you have an open fireplace. Similarly, make sure that all electrical heaters, etc. are turned off. Then the best advice you can do is to close all your doors. If you close all your doors before you go to bed, if a fire does break out in the room, at least you're guaranteed that it'll be contained or confined to that room for a short period of time, making sure that your keys are in the door, or at least close to the door, but at least you know where they are, that you're not fumbling or rummaging for the keys when you need to get out. After that then, as I said, if you checked on the elderly, the vulnerable, the young, whatever the case may be, go to bed. Again, do not be tempted yourself to smoke in bed. And then one other tip that may be advisable is bearing in mind that if you do have a fire at home, the chances are your electricity will be gone, so you'll wake up in a darkened room with your fire alarm going. It's very handy to have just a small torch that you can buy in any hardware store or indeed any supermarket. Have it beside the bed, so at least you have a source of light. They're the tips that I give.
Thanks very much, Pat. So there you have it. We have a couple of tips, and we're going to head into the station now here in Mullingar, where I'm going to meet Paul McLaughlin, Station Officer here in Mullingar, and he's going to show me around the station, and we're going to meet some of the boys and maybe even put out a fire or two here in Mullingar today. How are you, Paul?
Not too bad, Amy. You're very welcome here to Mullingar.
Thanks very much. I think we're going to do a quick tour of the station here and have a look around and see how we go.
Absolutely. You're currently in the appliance bay here. Just behind you on the board is what we have is a weekly unavailability board. In Mullingar Fire Station we have 15 firefighters.
So this big board here behind me is basically your roster.
That's exactly what it is. It indicates who's on call, who's on standby and who's rostered off.
I have to say now it brings back the child in you. It's very exciting being this close to a fire truck.
Absolutely, in all fairness now.
Oh, it's very tall actually as well.
It certainly is. It's a Scania actually, and it houses 6 persons. So what we have is we have the driver, who's the driver mechanic who drives the appliances to all incidents. In the back we have 4 firefighters, and we have the officer in charge, or the incident commander, who's in the front, who designate duties to firefighters when they arrive at an incident.
So they've lots of room back there to move around and get changed. And
certainly have. What we have stored in the back of the appliance basically are 5 breathing apparatus sets.
So trying to get changed into this apparatus en route, it must be hard with the adrenaline pumping, you know, the tight space now, and 5 strapping men.
2 gets into the sets first. So one person will sit forward while the other person actually puts on the set. Once he's under the set on him, the other person will actually don the set as well. And then they'll all sit back, put on their seatbelts and wait till they arrive in the incident. They'll unclip, dismount the appliance and get under air and enter into the building.
So we're in the drill yard now, Paul.
Okay, this is a drill yard, and basically what happens out here is we do all our drills. We do ladder drills, pump drills, and we do road traffic collision exercises, hazardous material exercises. So all the activities and training takes part in the drill. In front of you here we have a tower. It's built of concrete construction, and there are various doors in it. And basically it's a solid structure, and we light 2 fires in it to simulate a house fire. So it's a training tower used for breathing apparatus. Now breathing apparatus basically allows us to go into a building which would not support life, which is full of smoke, and allows us to obviously carry out a rescue and recovery and to extinguish fires safely. At the present moment we have training going on here. Castlepollard Fire Station, some of their personnel are in here doing training in conjunction with ourselves.
So these firefighters are going into the building?
Yeah, they're going into the building. It's full of smoke.
So Paul, we're out here now at the chip pan fire stimulator.
That's exactly what we're at. What we have in front of us is we have a chip pan that has caught on fire. This would be categorised as a category B fire, which is flammable liquids, liquefiable solids. What happens here, as you can see, there's a huge amount of smoke coming off it.
Huge amount of smoke, yeah.
And the flames are quite high. Now we're outside, so the smoke is dispersing up into the atmosphere.
But I can imagine if this was in a kitchen.
Absolutely. If you were in a closed area, this would actually be devastating. The fire would spread quite rapidly throughout the building. Yeah. So this type of an incident is, if it goes on fire like this, initially you want to be knocking it down straight away. And what we would use to extinguish this type of a fire is we'd use a fire blanket.
Okay, so a fire blanket like you'd see in most kitchens and most houses. Well, hopefully have them.
Yeah, exactly. A fire blanket basically can be used for purposes. It can be used basically if a person gets, primarily to extinguish a chip pan fire. And I'm going to demonstrate it here now.
Okay.
And secondly, it can be used for if a person never got on fire, you can wrap this around them and put the fire out. The handles are here for a reason. They're here to obviously hold the fire blanket itself, but also to protect your hands. So what you should do is, you should turn the blanket over on yourself.
So basically wrap it around your hands.
Wrap it around your hands. You shouldn't hold it up over your face because you can't see where you're going. So what you should do is, you should always hold it up towards your face and shuffle in towards where the fire is at. Now the reason I'm shuffling is because if I walk in, I could trip and fall on top of the chip pan itself.
So shuffle in so you're more sure-footed.
Absolutely. So what I'll do now is I'm going to demonstrate to you how to actually put the blanket over the chip pan. You'll move forward, and as you can see there's a handle on the chip pan. The fire comes back towards you. It'll come up along the blanket and up over towards your face, so just step backwards, hold it up high, and just let it drip, or fall, I beg your pardon, over the fire itself.
So you just smother it really.
That's all you're doing. You're stopping the oxygen from getting to the seat of the fire. The fire is now contained within the vessel itself, and the fire blanket is stopping it from burning, stopping the oxygen from getting it.
I have to say now, Paul, you've done that very, very calmly. I don't think... So I suppose keep calm is the first thing anyway. You don't want to knock that pan over.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about that in a second when people do kind of panic in that scenario. And what they use is they use water in that type of a media. So what we look at is, initially now, once I had the fire blanket over it, we isolate the electricity or the source of power, the gas, to stop the fire from continuing to heat the fuel itself. Now, you're going to see now, when I remove this fire blanket, you should leave it there, get outside, get your family outside and call the fire service. And as you can see on the fire blanket itself, it has
huge mark
in it.
I'm going to attempt to do this with you, Paul.
No problem at all. So the first thing, Amy, that we have to do, obviously you can see there's a huge amount of flames there.
Okay.
So first and foremost is we'll show you how to actually grab the fire blanket.
Okay.
So we're going to shuffle in.
Okay.
Now that's it. Well done. You're doing very well.
Okay. And your automatic reaction is to put it up over your face.
It is, absolutely, to protect yourself. So move forward now. And as you're moving forward,
oh gosh, it's hot.
Yeah. Now watch your flames. Don't worry. Hold it up high above it and just let it fall over it. That's excellent, Amy. Now just leave it there and leave it.
Just drop it.
That's it. Leave the blanket there and move back. Now, before you move back, you'd obviously turn off your supply, your gas, and you'd leave it there.
I have to say now, I don't think I would have done that as calmly had you not been holding my jacket the whole time.
No problem at all. Well done. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to show you the effect that water will have on a Class B type of fire.
So it's what you should not do.
What you should not use, yeah. So here you are, Amy. Now the chip pan is after going on fire, and it's just burning away very slowly, as you can see. So your natural reaction would be to say, okay, it's fairly small, I'm going to put a bit of water on it to try and extinguish it. In your panic state, obviously you go to the tap, fill up a cup of water or whatever, and throw it on top of it. And this is the effect that's going to happen.
So we're going to stand back a bit now.
Stand back a small bit, and we just have a look at this now. So 1 cup of water creates this amount.
Oh my! Whoa! Huge amount of power.
Absolutely. Powerful,
so that would fill your kitchen.
Absolutely, and it certainly would, if you threw it and if you were in the vicinity of it, you'd do some serious damage to yourself.
I have to emphasise, that was a tiny cup of water.
Yeah, absolutely, and you saw the expanse of the fire flame
huge
itself.
Amount. I mean, that whole back of the van has got scorches.
Absolutely, yeah, completely lit up. And you saw the way it spread all over the place.
Huge. It goes up, out, and both sides. So just because you're standing in front of it thinking it's going to go upwards, it won't. It goes everywhere.
Absolutely. So the cup of water now was actually acting as an accelerant to the fire.
And that's it. It's on your curtains and
on
on
your
your
curtains,
tablecloth.
all over your worktop, everywhere. And at that stage, well then,
it's engulfed.
It's engulfed in flames. you need to be getting out at that stage.